Hey everyone, my name is Scott, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a tree using the mTree add-on in Blender 3.0.1. So let's get right into it. The first thing you're going to want to do is download the add-on. So I've linked this page in the description below, and you're just going to want to scroll down to installation and click the latest release button, and that's going to bring you to this page with the most current version of the software. And I downloaded the Windows version. You can also download the Mac or Linux version depending on your operating system. And so I've already downloaded that. I'm going to come back into Blender, and if you go to Edit, Preferences, and Install, under add-ons, you click Install, you find the package you just downloaded it and install it, and then I've already done that as well, so I'll just look it up here. Modular tree is what it's called, and I've already checked that, so that's good. And we're also going to want to enable the Node Wrangler add-on here as well. We're going to use that for the bark texture. So then I'm going to delete the cube and pull this up at the bottom and switch into the mTree editor. I'm going to hit new, and with Shift A I'm going to bring up this box to add in the tree mesher, the trunk node, and the branch node. There's also some new nodes here. I just got this updated version of mTree myself, and I haven't played around with these yet, so I'm not going to use them. But this is all you need to create a tree. So if you connect the mesher to the trunk node and hit generate tree, there's your tree. It's just a trunk right now, but we can play around with all kinds of different settings here. So the length of the tree, you can play around with the radius, the shape, the uprightness of the tree, the resolution, and randomness. You can create all kinds of random shapes. And if I want a pretty random tree but I don't like this particular shape, I can change the seed, and that's going to give me a newly generated trunk every time. So let's turn the randomness back down. I think that's pretty good. And this one looks okay. So now I'm going to connect in the branch node. And when you connect a new node, you have to hit generate tree to update it. And there's all my branches. But I think it's a little bit too many. So I'm going to come here down to branches and turn that down to maybe 0.7. And so the branch node made my trunk look weird, so I'm going to turn down the start radius of my trunk. I think that looks good there. I'm also going to turn down the radial resolution. It's to about an 8, because I find that still looks okay, but it allows my computer to render it a little bit faster. My computer's not that great, so 8 is pretty good for me. I'm just gonna make this a little bit thicker. That looks pretty good. And you can play with the length of the branches as well, all kinds of different settings, and the seed, just like with the trunk, to randomize them. I'm gonna add a few more branches in. I think you can change where they start. Oh yeah, here start. So I can change where they start on the trunk. So if you want them to start right at the bottom, or you can make it so there's a bit more trunk at the bottom before your branches start. So I think that looks okay there. I don't want to play around with it too much. But there's my tree, and I'm going to add in some leaves now. I just hit this button, add leaves. In the older version, there was actually a way to select any object as your leaf, but this one just comes in with some preloaded leaves. I'm not sure how you can change that or if you can change that. But if anybody knows, leave it in the comments below. I would love to know because it was a really cool feature of the old version. If you want to still use this feature, you can go and download an older version of mTree and still use it. But this is the new version of leaves in mTree. And so you can see the leaves are there, but they're really small. So I'm going to come into the modifier tab, and this leaf modifier should have already popped up. So I'm going to increase the size of the leaves and the size variation, and the density of the leaves, the weight, and I think that looks pretty good. They come in preloaded with a texture, and you also have a preloaded bark texture called twig bark here, but it's a little basic, so I'm actually going to create my own texture. Again, the older version of mTree did have some loaded bark textures. They were pretty cool, but again, I like making my own textures. I think it's a little more unique and creative, and so I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So I hit a new material, and I'm going to call it bark, and we don't really need this anymore, so I'm going to put it down and bring this over, split the screen here, and on this side I'm going to go into the shader editor. So here you see the principled BSDF, and if we change the base color on here, we can change the color of the trunk. I'm going to make it like kind of a light brown color, and we have to hit use nodes here to see it. Oh, my bad. So we're in the solid mode. I want to be in material preview to be able to see the trunk. Just give it a second here. Yeah, there's the trunk. And so now it's just brown. I'm going to turn down the specular setting and the sheen tint and turn up the roughness just so it doesn't look so shiny. Bark isn't shiny, so we don't want that. And now I'm going to add in a bump node, and this is what's going to give the bark some texture. So bump nodes, they don't actually change the geometry of the tree, but they make it act like there's geometry there, so light bounces off of it in certain ways that make it look like it has some texture, even though the geometry of the tree is exactly the same as it was before. So into the bump node, we're going to connect a Musgrave texture node. You're going to connect the height in here and connect the bump normal into the principled BSDF normal, and then click on the Musgrave texture and hit Control T, And if this vector node doesn't pop up for you, that's because you don't have the node wrangler add-on enabled. So go back in your preferences and add that. So this is what's basically all the settings we're going to play around with to create the bark texture. And the first thing I'm going to do is turn up the scale in the Musgrave texture node until I can actually, see the pattern on there. And right now it doesn't really look much like tree bark, but if we increase the X and the Y scale down here, you can see that's squishing the X and Y axes of the texture while leaving the Z axis longer, so it creates these kind of vertical lines on the bark that is reminiscent of real bark. So you can play around with these settings, as much as you want, and kind of find what works for you, how you like it to look. It's very subjective, but I'm not going to play around with these too much. But yeah, I don't know. I think that looks pretty good there. So that's how I make my tree bark textures. You can look around at the tree, and I think it looks pretty cool. So that's basically it. That's how you make a tree using the mTree add-on. As you can see, it's kind of like washed out right now. It's all white, and that's because we are in the material preview mode. If we go to the rendered mode, you can see it lit with the standard light that's automatically in your scene when you open a new file, and it doesn't look too great. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to light and render your tree once you've created it. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Like and subscribe. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and helps me out as an independent artist. And yeah, if you have any video requests, things you want to see, things I'm skipping over, just please let me know. I'm here to help you guys. So have a good day, and if you want to show me what you created on Blender, you can find me in all my socials in the description below. So thanks again, guys. Have a good day.